So next up we have Jeff Simons. Jeff is a senior product designer at Nearform. He's designed the user experience of industrial machinery, smart homes and web apps. He now helps companies and teams build and shape their next big thing together with colleagues based all over the world. So his talk is based on this experience and trying to work remotely with these colleagues, something which some of us are only beginning to experience now. So his talk is called Remote Together, Lessons Learned Designing Products as a Distributed Team. So welcome, Jeff.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeff and I'm a remote product designer working at Nearform. This is all of us for our first ever meetup in France this year. 80% of these people work abroad, right? We all work remotely, but most of these people I'd never seen in my life before. This was a really cool experience. But what is remote, right? What is this whole thing? So when people think of remote, they think of fun, exotic places. They think of dossing off, playing video games, and they think of being in your pajamas all day. But is that really it? So the reality of remote is not so much the fun and exotic place, but being able to commute to the office by going from your kitchen to your home office, which is really nice. Or being able to work and live wherever you want. So I work near the Comber Mountains in County Waterford, and okay, that's not relevant. Yeah, pajamas are totally a thing. Anyway, so from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., if you look at this kind of a typical day in my life, this is pretty much typical to what probably a lot of you guys do. So where is really the difference then in terms of how these things work? So if you look at a distributed and a co-located team, the true difference is not so much in kind of the work that we do, but mostly in what we need to do to work together effectively as a remote team. So I'm going to try and talk a little bit about that by introducing something called the Tuckman's model of group development, because I was trying to think of a hook, and this seemed like the most logical choice. So Tuckman is this dude who wrote a paper in the 60s on how kind of groups mature over time from forming, storming, norming to performing. And basically the question is well, does that work for remote teams? And luckily for me, for this talk, yes, it does. The real difference, I guess, is not so much in terms of it's more in what you need to do. It's a little bit harder to go from forming to performing as a remote team because you have to put in more effort. So how does this really work? My cards are all messed up. Forming, basically, this is where we all start, right? It's this chaotic, but kind of cool, optimistic phase. Everyone's happy, everyone's kind of interested. There's lots of questions, and questions on how we work, questions on how the product, and it's best kind of started, ironically, by being in the same room together. So this is how we try and start projects at Nearform. We get everyone at the same room at the same time. So from a remote perspective, this is absolutely critical. Because what you need to facilitate is structure, clarity, and that you need to take away boundaries, right? So there's a few different tools that you can use in this case. You can use a lexicon, you can map your process, because really for your dev friends, do they know what Zeppelin is? Do they know how design works? But then you get to this storming phase, and this is kind of this uncomfortable, has anyone ever, you've done group projects in college, and it's really kind of chaotic, and you don't really know who you are, or who your friends are, and where your colleagues are. This is going really fast. So then the remote perspective on storming is that this is a critical phase that you need to solve, right? Because because you're not in the same room together, you can't really solve these things by looking each other in the eye. So you need to figure out, well, how can we resolve these issues and these conflicts? An amazing tool is called Retrium. It's kind of like real-life retrospectives in a really well-designed product. And it's completely badass, totally recommended. The other one that I can recommend is Hannah's Guide to Retrospectives. And then we get to this norming stage where you kind of basically you get more comfortable with each other and suddenly things start to get more interesting from a team perspective. People lose up, are willing to accept each other as ideas. And really, this is kind of the meat and bones. This is the really interesting part for remote teams. Well, anyway, but yeah. So as a remote team, you really start kind of working together well at this stage, or as a team in general. And effectively, the idea is that this is the place where people want to start facilitating or exchanging ideas with each other. So enter the lovely whiteboard, but oh no, we don't have a whiteboard because we're all over the world, right? So you need, the key to this phase is facilitating in order to help your team accelerate. And if you're a remote worker like me in the bottom left corner over there, it's effectively you have to work with pen, paper, and video. That still works pretty well. But for some reason, sometimes it's better to just have a little bit more structure to these things. And I've tried a lot of different tools for a lot of different types of whiteboards as you go really fast. Envision freehand is really amazing. But sometimes you also need to kind of replicate the real life world, and you want to have post-it notes on the walls and stuff like that. For that, Mural is absolutely amazing. And basically, it's a very complicated product, but you can do a lot of things with it. And then you get to the performing stage, and this is where everything is amazing and everything's fantastic. And then suddenly the question is, well, there's not much I can tell you on what you should do here, because if everything is going well, there's not much you really should be doing, so whatever. So, oh my God, so many things. So basically, never do cards. So to summarize, provide structure, help resolve conflict, facilitate to accelerate, and when you get to the performing stage, guys, it doesn't really matter anymore.